Good afternoon. My name is Becky Montgomery and I'm Chair of the St. Paul Board of Education and would like to welcome all of you here today. We have some very exciting news that we're pleased about, news that we want to shout from the top of all our school buildings about. And that news has to do with how our students have performed on the standardized Mat 7 test. With me today are Superintendent Pat Harvey, Mary Thornton Phillips, Vice Chair of the Board of Education, and Gilbert DeLeo, who is the Treasurer of the Board of Education, as well as Maria Castro, the principal here at Roosevelt Elementary School. As I said, we are very pleased to be holding this press conference and to be sharing with you the good news that we have regarding how our students are performing and achieving here in the St. Paul Public Schools. We know as a board and as a district that student achievement is absolutely critical. It's our #1 priority. And our staff throughout the district have been working hard the past several years on improving student achievement, particularly as measured and documented by our students' performance on the Mat 7 tests. We are seeing the results of that work. And I'm going to turn the microphone over to Dr. Pat Harvey to give you specifics about those results. But again, I want to say we are very pleased and very grateful to all the hard work that our staff has been doing to improve student achievement in the district. Pat.
Thank you very much. Thank you again for coming out and being with us this afternoon. And as you just heard, we are extremely excited about the results from this year's testing, because what it does is it proves that when you raise the expectations for kids, that they just fall right into path and generate the kinds of behaviors that we want and need from them. And in St. Paul, the staff in each one of our buildings, and not only the teachers, but the wider community and led by the principals, have really worked very hard. And let me just highlight the results that we have. What's very unique about these results is that they're very balanced. Here's what we have. We have the reading scores in our elementary schools going up in almost every grade. Second grade, third grade, fourth grade is stable, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade with a slight decline. Here's also what we have. Same thing with the math scores, but this time the fourth grade is not flat, it also has improved. Our second graders now have the highest reading gains that they've had since 1993. Our fifth grade students in math are now exceeding national norms. That's big news. In addition to just the subtest in reading and math, we see the same kind of achievement on the simple battery, which is more subtests, and the complete battery. So it's balanced. It's balanced even more in that it's in all segments of our schools. As you know, our schools are really in 3 categories, and we see improvements in all 3 categories. We also see improvement, if you take a look, you hone in on our ethnic groups. Each one of our ethnic groups are showing huge gains. Our kids can, in fact, achieve at high levels. Here's some other things that come out from our results. You know, we spent a lot of time concentrating on providing more services for kids in a mandated summer school program, focused mainly on third graders. Those third graders, their achievement exceeded the achievement of those who did not go to summer school. That says to us that we need to continue with this strategy to help our kids. Another huge piece is that our district is very diverse. As all of you know, we have huge numbers, lots of students, of kids who come to us from all over the world. Here's what I'd like to come out loud and clear from this press conference. The students who are involved in our English language learning programs are learning and gaining at higher levels than similar students in the norm group across the country. That is happening because the staff all over the school district, led by our director, Valeria Silva, have been implementing some new strategies, and I really think that St. Paul will become a best practice center in that regard. some other information. We know that if students spend more time and are stable in our schools, meaning if they're in one school over a 3-year period of time, then their achievement is higher than the achievement of students who have not had the time with us. So, this is just a beginning for us. There's lots of information for us to absorb and to use it as a stepping stone to even greater successes for our kids. And we are going to do that. In fact, we are doing it. Today, our principals have been involved in massive training about how to take this information and use it to the best interests of kids. But what we want to hone in on is our goal of continuous progress. Wherever we are in each of our 70 buildings, we want to see steady improvement. And that's why we have asked you to come to this wonderful building. This building is an example of what we mean when we say comprehensive work. Across the country, we know that in order for schools to improve, they have to improve in 5 areas. 1, they have to have strong facilitative leadership. 2, they have to have a strong staff and staff development and collegiality. 3, they have to have a student-centered learning environment. 4, they have to embrace and include the parents and the community. And then 5, they have to focus in on their work and monitor and support it. And we see that at Roosevelt. And so on behalf of the administration, we would just like to commend the entire Roosevelt community for your work. Now we have a chart in front of us. I can't see it, but you can. What you see is a 4-year trend, all moving forward. And this is the example of the kind of work that we're seeking to do in our other buildings as well. Now that work has been led by our principal here, and her name is Maria Castro. Maria, will you come forward and kind of tell us a little bit about how you guys were able to do this wonderful work?
Thank you. Before I begin, I'd like to introduce to you a couple of our parents and a staff member that are going to be available for any one of you that would like to ask any further questions. We have Terry Evans, who has a kindergarten son here with us, and she is our PTA chair. We have Dorothy Eaglefeather, who has a 2nd grade son here at Roosevelt, and Mary Stomberg, our 2nd grade teacher. So if you have any additional questions after the conference, feel free to ask them. I'd like to give you just a little bit of information about the profile and makeup of our school. 2/3 of our children are 2nd language learners, which means that they come to our school with another language other than English. We also have a high population of children that represent a large diverse group within our own building. 90% of our children are free and reduced lunch, which means that they are considered at or below poverty. So given all of those challenges that have come here to Roosevelt, we have been able to bring them to the level of achievement that is expected by all of our students and is expected by our staff here at Roosevelt. I owe a lot of our work and contributions to the parent and community organizations that exist here on the West Side. Our parents have been very actively involved by attending conferences at a high rate than we've ever had before. 97% of our parents turned out for conferences. We've developed a menu of options for parent involvement in our building for parents to choose when they wish to visit their children or come into our school. Our attendance rate is high at Roosevelt, 97% attendance daily average. Our staff has worked very, very well collaboratively and unified to work at meeting the goals of our district. And also, a very basic and very important component is looking at our Math 7 test results and making sure that we're coordinating our curriculum and making sure that we're looking at our strengths and weaknesses and what is it that we need to deliver to our children. So with that, I'd like to thank you for being here at Roosevelt, And this is a very exciting and challenging day for our school. And thank you. Dr.
Thank
Harvey.
you. Congratulations. One last thing before we open it up to questions. Again, I would just like to commend the efforts of teachers and principals and staff people in each one of our buildings. This does not happen because of one school. This is a fine and wonderful school, shining example, but we have many, many stars as well. So thanks to all of you as well. Questions?
Will these scores influence the accountability categories? Will any schools get off of probation because of these scores?
These scores will influence the work and should influence the work, but it's not a factor in terms of schools coming off probation. What I mean is that we've got tons of data now. We've got the quality reviews that we just completed, the reports, and now principals and their leadership teams are taking this information and they're taking a look at each piece of it and saying, how can we take this to the next level? How can we get even greater results? And so all of this influences the next step, the next stages, the next work. It also brings up new questions. All of us need to ask ourselves, if we see this kind of improvement in grades 2 through 7, what happened to the 8th graders? And so it's going to take each building and all of us looking at that to say, well, how can we make sure that we bring them along? Which brings me to the spring testing. We've had a history in St. Paul of reporting fall results, but this year we want to report spring results too, because we want to look at what happens between that time frame.
Well, was the increase significant enough among any of the probationary schools that it would indicate they might well be getting off?
We'll have to see that in the spring. We'll take a look at the results at the end of this school year, and then it will guide the next decisions.
So this is compared to scores from the previous year?
Yes, fall to fall.
Seems to say that raising expectations led to a rise in performance. It just seems like an oversimplification.
It is. It's a huge oversimplification to it. What you have in St. Paul is a lot of serious educators who have been working hard for their entire careers to do the best possible for kids. And so what we're seeing now is the results of all of that time and all of that effort. But added to it is the fact that we're expecting more, and our kids have heard us say that. Our classrooms are formulated to do it. As you know, we've increased reading in St. Paul tremendously. All of that plays into it. This summer, we had the largest summer school program this district has ever had. In addition to that, we had the largest staff development program leading up to the summer program that this district has ever had. So we've been providing the supports. The students who received the results of those did better. So it's just the beginning for the next stages of work. We fully expect that we're going to continue to improve. We have to, because we're working with the kids who are going to take over for all of us in the near future.
By the way, too, I think what this also illustrates is the strategies that are being put in place to address the issue of achievement are working. And as Pat pointed out, just the impact that summer school alone had on those third graders and the results, and the difference in the results of the third graders who participated in summer school. What that tells us as a district, and certainly us as a board, is that summer school works if it's done right. So it tells us, number one, in looking at the data, that we're doing something right, and number two, that we need to continue that intervention and continue to build on that knowledge that we see now with these results.
And another big piece of this, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, is a change in strategy of working with second language learners or English language learners. And our director has implemented a new strategy this year. And what we're seeing is the results of that. And what we've simply done is to make sure not just that the teachers who are working with English and language learners, but all teachers are getting more training, and that their learning is not in isolation, that the service providers, the teachers are coming together and they're working with students in the same room. We're just at the beginning of that, but we're seeing a big payoff as well.
When were the children tested, actually?
The testing dates were in early October.
And so a new program that was implemented in September by the first of
Actually,
October?
this program was implemented last year, about a year or so into it. It's been evolving as we've moved on, but there's been a full year or more of operation.
Would you, is it a best case scenario that you have a large number of students performing above average?
No. That's what is so important as you take a look at this. When I take a look at test scores, I take a look at every category of students and category of schools. If you take a look at the students who were in the State 9s 1, 2, 3, those are the underperforming kids. Those numbers have gotten smaller. Where are they going? Those numbers are going up in State 9s 4 through 6. The numbers are also going up in the higher level. So they're moving from from severely underperforming to more in the average levels. So you want to look there. Then you also want to look across categories of your schools. You want to make sure that it's balanced, that it's happening in all segments of the community and with all children. And as we said, when we disaggregate or pull out our different ethnic groups, you see the same thing. Same thing for African American kids, for Native American kids, for Asian students, as well as Caucasian students.
Would you expect similar improvements to be seen this year in the state standardized tests?
Well, we're working very hard to make that happen. You know, over the holidays, I was reading a quote, and a quote that said, "Success is built on making good judgments, and good judgments are built on experience, and experience is built on bad judgments." And so we're working hard. We're not afraid to step out and take a risk and do something different, because in doing something different, you're liable to get something different. Not all of them are going to work. We're not going to hit a home run every time, but we're going to get closer to it than we normally get. So yes, we're expecting our scores to go up, and if they don't, then we're just going to dig deeper until they do go up. Any more questions? Thanks very much.